just around the corner, I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 title contenders for the NBA this season. But before I do so, who do you guys think is going to win the NBA title this season? Let me know your thoughts down below. What's going on, guys? Welcome in the NBA Now by Chat Sports. Like I said, we got my top 10 contenders for the NBA title this season. Because, hey, I'll tell you what, for the first time in a very long time, I actually feel like we have a good amount of parity in the NBA. Obviously, you just had the Clippers trading for James Harden. They look to be ramping up. And then the Sixers are kind of setting themselves up to trade for another star to pair him up with Tyrese Maxey and Embiid. So I'm going to give you guys my top 10 list here in just a second. But let's start off with some honorable mentions, because I'll tell you what, this honorable mentions list is a lot more stacked than I would have thought. The number one team, or the first team we'll talk about here, is the New York Knicks. I like what the New York Knicks have. Are they a true title contender? Probably not. I think you need that true number one option in the NBA, and I love Jalen Brunson, but he's probably more of a two. And obviously with Julius Randle, the hills and valleys to his games, I just don't really think he's consistent enough for the Knicks to go on a deep playoff run. So they land on my honorable mentions list. And then actually the team they beat in the first round of the playoffs last year, this was a hard one to leave off the top 10, but the Cleveland Cavaliers. Listen, I love Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a hell of a basketball player. But to me, he's got some Russell Westbrook in his game. He runs a lot of high pick and roll. And when you get into these playoff series and you see the same look over and over again, it's just easier to defend it. And that's what the Knicks did last year in the playoffs. So can they switch that up? Definitely. But right now, I can't have them cracking my top 10. Then also a team that kind of shocked the world last season, the Sacramento Kings. I got them on my honorable mention list as well. I like the Kings. I like what they've done. They're just probably another piece away. And do I really think Sabonis could be your second option on a championship team? Probably not. But a good roster, a fun and young and exciting team. They are not there just yet. The Timberwolves are another one. Tough to leave off this top 10 because I love Anthony Edwards. He reminds me of a kind of modern-day Dwayne Wade, for example. Like, I love what they have in the front court with Rudy Gobert and Cat, but it comes down to the chemistry. Can that team work with Ant, Jaden McDaniels, Cat, Rudy Gobert? Can it all mesh? We'll have to wait and see, but I don't think they're a top 10 team just yet. And then we actually have a team that was in the finals last year. This one was tough. The Miami Heat. They're off to a 1-4 start to the NBA season so far, and it just seems like kind of the magic they had bottled up last year kind of ran its course. Because if you remember, the Heat, they were in the play-in games last year where they were down 4 to the Chicago Bulls to even make the playoffs with 3 minutes left. And listen, they kind of caught lightning in a bottle. They went on a magical run last season. They'll probably end up turning it around, but as of right now, where it stands, I got them just on the outside looking in. But before we dive into the official top 10 list, I got to ask you guys about the Miami Heat. Do you think the Heat will turn it around? Do you think this is just Jimmy being regular season, Jimmy Butler? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Y for yes and for no if you believe in the Miami Heat. All right, let's do it. The official top 10 list. I can't believe I'm putting them on here. The Oklahoma City Thunder. For the first time in a while, I think the Thunder have a great ball club down there in Oklahoma City, and a lot of it has to do with, obviously, SGA. I think SGA is one of the most, obviously he's not underrated anymore, but in terms of superstars in the NBA, I think he's kind of cracked that surface a little bit. And I love what they have with Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. Like, they got this young and up-and-coming group, and also they have positioned themselves to make a trade at the NBA trade deadline. Like, they have all types of draft capital over the next couple of seasons. Pair that up with young talent, and then pair that up with a top 7 player in the league in SGA. Oklahoma City, they're going to be a wagon here in a couple of years, but they're right there. They're right there on that kind of true title contender, but I got them at number 10 right now. Number 9 for me, I was a big fan of the Lakers coming into the season, but, after watching a couple of their games this year, I just don't know if they have the juice to be a true title contender. Like, I love Bron. I love Anthony Davis. Like, they're obviously 2 top 10 guys in the league, but the guys around him, like Austin Reeves, I think he should get a lot of the more kind of ball handler reps at that spot, but they give a lot of it to Gabe Vincent and D'Angelo Russell. So, listen, the Lakers, they're a tough team to guard, or a tough team to kind of gauge right now. They got a lot of talent, but I just don't know if it's all going to come together this year, and that's why I got them at 9. But number 8 for me, another team that's absolutely stacked. The Phoenix Suns. Like, if you just look at them on paper, or if you would have to play with them, like during playing NBA 2K, for example, like, they are probably the best team in the league. You got Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. 3 of the best bucket getters in the league. But to me, the Phoenix Suns are a walking red flag. And listen, no doubt, They are loaded with those big three players. But they just give me vibes of the Brooklyn Nets. And I think in the NBA, when you have your three best players lean offense, like obviously the Phoenix Suns do, just like the Brooklyn Nets did, I think it's really tough to kind of, sustain these long playoff runs with your top three players being strictly offensive players. You're going to have some sort of defensive backbone. I just don't know. The Suns, to me, just kind of give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. And I just think there's red flags all over the place. So I got them at 8, probably a little low, but right now that's where I got them. Number 7 is the team that just traded for James Harden, the Los Angeles Clippers. Number one concern for them, obviously health. We know this. With guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, health is going to be a big-time issue. But I'll tell you what, they got a heck of a big four over there in L.A. Russell Westbrook, if you guys don't know, obviously he has completely cut out pull-up jumpers in his game this season. So he has kind of embraced that, six-man, I'm going to be a slasher, I'm going to be a playmaker type of role, and I think he's fit in perfectly. And Paul George, already averaging 27-plus a game this year, he seems like he is completely back to his old self. And then obviously you add in James Harden, a true playmaker at the one. I mean, he led the league in assists last season. He's got talent, but those big four, if they could stay healthy and kind of finally figure out the chemistry side of the game, I mean, you got all types of talent there in LA. So I got the Clippers at 7, but this may be a shocker to people. I got the Philadelphia 76ers at 6, the team that traded away James Harden. I absolutely loved what they did in this trade. You brought in a bunch of 3-and-D players on expiring contracts, and you really embraced the Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid kind of two-man game that they're going to be running, and they've been running it at probably one of the highest level in the NBA, even up there with Jokic and Murray this year. And I fully do expect the Sixers to make a move. Obviously we heard Zach LaVine has been connected to them throughout the whole offseason, now obviously at the beginning of the year. So Philly, they've really set themselves up. They got Tobias Harris, who's on a $40 million expiring contract. They can pair him up with a bunch of draft capital that they got in the James Harden trade and go make a move for another star. If you would pair Zach LaVine up with Tyrese Maxey and the former MVP Joel Embiid, keep your eyes out for Philly. I feel like they're kind of a sleeping giant a little bit in the NBA right now. But I'm going to get to my top 5 list here in just a second, but I got to tell you guys about Prize Picks. They make the games in the NBA so much more enjoyable to watch, and you guys got to get hooked up with them today. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America, and it is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling versus thousands of other players, including pros, sharks, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And if you guys are watching this video today, we actually got games in the NBA tonight. I'm going to take more on the Zion Williamson 24.5 points. He's been back on his bully ball this year. I'm going to ride the hot hand there. Speaking about riding the hot hand, Tyrese Maxey, more than 24.5. He has been on a scoring outburst this entire season. I expect him to continue it. They also threw Siakam in there. Anytime I see Siakam less than 20, I'm going to take them more on that. So I'm going to take more than 19.5 for Siakam. You guys can get involved in on the fun, though, as well. If you guys head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. I'll put that link for you guys in the comment section and the description of today's show. It's a ton of fun. Make sure you guys do get hooked up today. prizepicks.com/CLNS. But number 5 for me, never thought I would be putting this team on here heading into the season, but what they have shown me throughout the first couple of games, they're fantastic. The Dallas Mavericks. I think they're going to have the best offense in the league the entire season. And this is kind of my take with true title contenders, is anytime you have an all-time talent in the league, you are going to give yourself a chance. You go look back for the past 40, 50 years in the NBA. Most NBA champions have a top 25 player of all time on it. And Luka, yes, he is not there yet, but he has that top 25 of all time kind of potential in his game. So Luka with the Mavs, I like the additions of Grant Williams. Derrick Jones Jr. is fitting in well over there. They got good role players around him. They're going to have one of the best offenses in the league. So I got the Mavericks at 5. I think they're, again, a little bit of a sleeping wagon there down here in Dallas. And, hey, maybe the Rangers. The Rangers just won the World Series last night. Maybe it's a mini title town forming in Dallas. But obviously we'll have to, wait and see. But number 4 for me is the the Golden State Warriors, and they are just inevitable. Like, anytime you think the Warriors are down, anytime you think the Warriors are out, they just keep on coming back. And right now, Steph Curry is off to an unreal start to the NBA season, and the Warriors just give me New England Patriots vibes. Like, how many times in the NFL were we sitting there going into the playoff run or going into the season, and we were just like, oh, there's no way Tom Brady and the Patriots do it again. They're done. Their last ring was their last and final ring. I feel like that's the vibe with the Warriors this year. And I feel like this dude right here, Steph Curry, there's just something different about him this year. So I'm going to put my money on him. That's why I got them at number 4 on my true NBA contenders list. They just give me New England Patriots vibes. And they are the last team that I would want to face, frankly, in a playoff series with their championship pedigree, with obviously Klay Thompson actually kind of getting back to his old self the last couple of games, with obviously Wiggins, back at it as well. Warriors, sneaky little title contender there. But number 3, probably the biggest move of the NBA offseason, the Milwaukee Bucks. They obviously paired up Damian Lillard with Giannis Antetokounmpo and creating probably one of the best duos we have ever seen in the NBA. Obviously, you got guys like, KD and Steph, Kobe, Shaq, but man, I'll tell you what, Giannis and Dame, they could definitely be right there as well. And the thing is about Giannis and Dame is just like, this is just one of those moves where it's just like, it's got to work. Like, I just don't think when you have the combination of these two running a pick and roll with each other, like Dame coming off the pick, and the big's got to step all the way up because Dame can pull up from 35, and then you have Giannis cutting to the rim, kind of being that slasher and that downhill threat. Like, he's gonna put so much pressure on the rim. Like, I just think this is one of those moves where it's like, don't overthink this. You got Giannis, you got Dame. It's gonna work out. But tell you what, there's a team they're gonna run into in the Eastern Conference, and that's the Boston Celtics. Listen, the Boston Celtics, they're off to an unreal start this season. They're beating almost every team by 30 or 50, it feels like. Last night, they just beat the Pacers by 50 points. And I'll tell you what, they are extremely top-heavy, but they might have one of the best big fives we have ever seen in the league. It's going to come down to, obviously, if Jayson Tatum can kind of take that true step and be that true superstar and that true number one in the league. But, I mean, I just can't believe this is the 5 that they can roll out here in the playoffs and have that be their closing lineup. I mean, obviously you got the Jays and Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and then Kristaps at the big, Derrick White and Jrue Holiday. And honestly, if I had to create just like my perfect modern day kind of team here, what would you want? You would want 2 3-and-D wings that can go get a bucket whenever you want. You would want a 7'3" kind of unicorn in Porzingis who can shoot threes at the highest level and also protect the rim. Then what would you want at the guard spot? You'd want 2 point-of-attack defenders who can also create their own shot, but they can also create for others. Like, that big 5, like, shout out to Brad Stevens, understanding where the game of basketball is going and really building around it. And it kind of just feels like the Celtics are that team where they were just there a couple years ago. Lost in Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. It seems like they're just about to kind of burst through and kind of finally get that championship ring that they've been trying to get over, the past 5 seasons. I mean, they've been right there. So Celtics, they're a wagon, and they're coming, but we'll see in the playoffs. I still am not fully bought into them, but I think they're probably going to win 65, 70 games. And number 1 for me, I honestly would have felt disrespectful if I did not put the Denver Nuggets at 1 on my list. Listen, straight up, the Nuggets are back, and it's so funny. Like, Nikola Jokic, like, we hear the jokes about, like, oh, he didn't go work out in the offseason. Like, he didn't pick up a basketball until about a month ago. Well, he could do all that, and he still looks like the best player alive. And frankly, the Nuggets are still the biggest wagon in the NBA. Like, they got the size. Like, anytime you can run out nearly 3 7-footers at your 3, 4, and 5 position in Yoke, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., and then you add shooters around those guys, like, obviously, like, KCP has obviously stepped up. Jamal Murray looks like he's really having, kind of this resurgence type of year here. But, man, I'll tell you what, the Nuggets, like, this might be one of those things where it's like, don't overthink it. They're back. I think they're going to be a fantastic basketball team. That's why I got them number 1 on my title contenders list as of right now. But if you guys want more NBA videos like this, you guys could just let me know down in the comment section. Just comment me down below if you guys want more NBA videos like this. Listen, we're trying to get more into the power rankings, kind of sphere of the whole YouTube game. So if you guys want more power rankings, more title contenders, let me know down below. But this is my prediction. Kind of teased it a little bit when I was talking about the Warriors. I just feel like they're inevitable. I'm going to take the Warriors over the Bucks in the NBA championship. They're just giving me New England Patriots vibes when Brady won his 6th ring down there in over there in New England. But yeah, I got the Warriors over the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to get the best of the Celtics in the East. I got the Warriors taking the ship this year, and Steph Curry gets his 5th ring. But thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time on our next edition of NBA Now.